Hello, everybody. Welcome to AZ Security. My name is Dion Paardenkoper. I'm a cloud security architect at IT Impressive, and today I have two special guests of Microsoft, and that's Sophie and Dave. Sophie, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Sophie Ke, and I'm a senior product marketing manager for CoPilot Control System, and I focus on the security and governance pillar.
Hey folks, I'm Dave Minasyan. I drive a lot of the admin experiences and security experiences within Microsoft, specifically Microsoft 365. And I'm a principal product manager here for many, many years now. So, yeah, that's it.
Cool. For today, we have a special topic, and we're going to talk about the baseline security. Sophie, can I ask you what it is?
Sure, let me go ahead and share a slide deck. So we're really excited to announce a feature. This feature was announced at Ignite last November, which is called Microsoft Baseline Security Mode. So I'll talk a little bit about the problem summary that we're facing and why we announced baseline security mode. So as you know, AI is everywhere, and AI can accelerate the ability for malicious actors to exploit configuration gaps. And we're talking specifically legacy configurations that can be the most vulnerable. So we're talking about three big problems that we're trying to solve, which is that amplify legacy risk, environment complexity, as well as bolt-on challenges. So when we're talking about legacy risk, it's the presence of all of these legacy protocols, which might introduce security risks that are amplified by AI. So for environment complexity, a lot of our environments are very complex, so it makes it very challenging for our IT admins to implement changes without risking unintended disruptions. And a lot of times we have multiple solutions, products, and so when there are budget constraints and reliance on these multiple solutions, it may create a fragmented security experience for our IT admins as well. So this is why we introduced Microsoft Baseline Security Mode, or we call it BSM for short. And it is meant to secure your Microsoft cloud environments with Microsoft recommended configurations. We're really excited to say it's now generally available for Microsoft 365 and Entra starting obviously from last year, November 2025. And really the key pillars that BSM help you is it allows you to act on tailored recommendation to secure your tenants. And we give you pre-configured defaults, and we allow you to adopt these changes safely because you can test these configuration in simulation mode before you roll it out to help you minimize that risk. And you can take advantage of these built-in protections because BSM is built for Microsoft 365. It's optimized for Microsoft 365. And what's great is it is included in your existing Microsoft 365 license, and it will be updated regularly as well.
Awesome. First of all, congratulations, of course, with the GA status. Is there a specific target group of companies that you're focusing on, or is it just for everybody?
Okay, would you like to answer that?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So this functionality is actually designed for everybody. Like Sophie mentioned, Microsoft has been learning quite a bit in the last many, many years around the security things that could happen. And we've been patching any gaps that we see or any kind of, new, security threats that we see. And we, as part of this BSM mode, or baseline security mode, we actually wanted to bring this knowledge and expertise to all of our customers, regardless of which industry you are in and which sector you're in and how large you are, etc. Because bad actors are not very picky. They really attack wherever the vulnerability exists, and we really want to provide the tools and capabilities needed to quickly and effectively close those vulnerabilities for the customers. And that's the primary reason why we decided to really invest in not just documentation or PowerShell, kind of scripts and things like that, but really make it available to everyone through UX, right? And we'll talk about how easy it is in just a few minutes to implement.
Yeah, I can't wait. But one question left before we dive in. If I have already a lot of security measurements being enabled, will that conflict?
That's a great question. So we basically start the baseline security mode by the experience starts by analyzing where you're at. So Microsoft has certain recommendations, and then we will actually check to see if you're meeting those standards, those minimum security standards that we have established, and then let you know very clearly where you are meeting that standard and where you really need to do a little bit more work.
It's sort of checking and then go further. You have to enable. It's like that.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So it's not really like one thing fit all kind of thing. Like we actually try to customize the guidance based on where you're at, and then it makes it really easy for you to kind of personalize that and to take quicker actions. The key here is speed, right? Because we these are known areas of vulnerability that we're because of legacy things that some customers are still using. So we're trying, the goal here is to really quickly identify any kind of vulnerabilities that you have because of this legacy functionality usage, and really give you a really targeted, pinpointed way to go and resolve that. And we even, I'll show you how, you can even, for some of the settings, you can even manage or do some change management right from within the tools, right, that we provide. And it's fairly straightforward, but we'll go through that once we get into the experience. So we are now in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. In fact, the entire baseline security mode experience is set in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And the reason we decided to do this is because, and I'll show you in just a second, but the experience actually spans multiple workloads across Microsoft 365 and beyond. So, we kind of set it in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center just because that's kind of where most of the workloads and most of the different admins have access to, because it's usually the starting point for administration. And then we also have, we'll talk about security admins and Purview Azure that will also, we're in the process of figuring out how to give them access into some of these as well. So that said, you'll start with this new and updated Microsoft 365 Admin Center homepage. The location of this specific area, the baseline security mode, is actually in settings. If you go into org settings and security and privacy tab here, and baseline security mode should be right at the top. Now, when you click on the baseline security mode, we're going to open up a panel here that will actually do a quick assessment to see where you are at the moment. And also it will give you, if you choose to, it will give you a very easy way to start out. Now, we do see some customers wanting to start with the detailed view, and I'll show you what that looks like. But a lot of customers actually just go with the recommendation that Microsoft provides. So at the top here, we're essentially showing you configurations and settings that we know from our own data that not very many customers use, and these are very kind of rarely used functions and settings. So, but if your organization is actually using this setting, right, we will actually show it here so you can easily turn it off. This is kind of like a opt-in easy button that you can do. Now, there are some other settings where we know that there is usage usually for these settings, and we do not necessarily recommend you to go and turn it off or apply the recommendation blindly. We do recommend you to run the impact analysis, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And then analyze what the impact would be, and then implement the recommendation. Now, these check marks here that you see is that when we run the impact analysis, there's going to be certain situations where we're going to have to expose specific user names or app names or app owners, etc. So it's sometimes personally identifiable information. And because of that, we want to make sure that you understand that you are going to see this type of information within the report that you are initiating here. So as long as you're okay with that, just click on the checkboxes and then save. So once you click save, we are going to go and apply everything that you told us to apply. For this specific demo, though, we're not going to apply all of them automatically, because I want to make sure that the detail page looks like it actually shows all the like a realistic scenario of what a lot of our customers end up seeing. So right now I just clicked on open baseline security mode, like the detail page. So if you noticed, or just a second ago, we were actually checking the current configuration of the tenant and matching it to our recommended state. So in this case, you can see that for some of these recommendations, this specific tenant is meeting standards. So you have a nice green checkbox or check mark for those. And then for others, and it looks like there's quite a few of them that are at risk, meaning they are not meeting the standards. So you have a vulnerability there. Now, the in review setting means that you initiated an impact analysis. So I went ahead before this meeting and initiated some impact analysis so we can actually see some data as well. So that's basically what the in review means. So this does not mean that the setting is okay. In many cases, what that means is that we initiated the impact analysis, but the recommendation has not been actually enabled. So this is actually still technically in an at-risk state. Okay. So if you see here, let's look at this block new password credentials in app setting specifically. So the recommendation here is to block new password credentials in apps. If you are interested around kind of deep diving and understanding what exactly this means, and how can you kind of verify the data and all this other things, you can definitely deep dive as much as you want. We have learn more docs available for every setting, and also as BSM all up, that you can kind of deep dive and understand all the details if you need to. But most of the important information is we try to give it to you right within this view here. So if you look here, we're essentially describing what this recommendation is, why it's important, where the actual security vulnerability is. And then if you notice here, scope summary, this is actually an area that we build specifically to help you manage the change. So in this case, we ran the impact analysis and we identified that there are 107 apps that are authenticated with passwords. So those are the apps that we really want to make sure that, so this is going to be the impact essentially. So if you block new password credentials in apps, these 107 apps will be impacted. Okay. So what the next thing you want to do is in these situations is you can download the report, and we can actually download it really quickly and open it up.
But what you're actually saying is, like, you can take a look for yourself.
Yeah.
If it's really possible to remediate, so to speak, and if it's not, I see also under the scope summary a possibility to exclude, right?
Correct. So you can actually look up here and see what the application is. So we're giving you the app ID. And then we're giving you the kind of when the app actually was active last, or what the actually app name is. In this case, we just kind of made up a bunch of names for this, just this experiment, and not experiment, but for testing, and also for just showing. And then you can actually see when this app was was active last in this specific scope. So what you can do here is from here you can actually start saying, okay, some of these apps I want are active, some of them are not active, and the ones that are not active, it might be okay to just block them for now. And that sometimes we have customers that just block those apps and then wait for the app owner to kind of contact them and say, hey, we have an issue, right? And then unblock them. But for some of them that are active, you might want to just, as part of the change management, you can exclude them to start with. So you can actually, it's pretty straightforward. You go here, tap in the app, and you can just exclude the app. Now, once you exclude the app and apply the block, so obviously everyone will be impacted except for the apps that you excluded. So we generally recommend just looking at the apps that were active recently, and then exclude those, and then for the rest of them, just wait, and if you see any kind of feedback or kind of complaints from the app owners, and then you can always add them to the exclusion list. The goal here, though, is to get to zero exclusion, right? Because the apps that are excluded, they still have that vulnerability. So everyone that is using them is still potentially using that app with that vulnerability in place. Okay, so you want to kind of offboard these apps. It just gives you, it just buys you extra time. So you close the bleeding by blocking the, in this case, blocking the new password credential in apps, and then excluding certain apps that are, potentially impacted. And then you can work with those specific app owners to slowly kind of offboard them from this kind of a risky state. Okay, so that's kind of how we're helping you manage change as you're also kind of closing down, securing your tenant.
Cool. Yeah, I really love this functionality. It's giving customers the possibility to align to the security baseline, and if there's not an alignment possible, at least they see when, why, and how. So
Yep.
definitely amazing work, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the additional thing I do want to call out is that there are sometimes organizations that are more complex than others, and you do need to kind of apply custom policies. And in that case, what we'll do is we will actually take you to, let me see which one. I think it's this one. So in that case, we will actually take you to the proper admin center or admin space where you can actually set up the custom property or custom policy. We don't really want to replicate all that, customization in this, because this is meant to be very, very straightforward and very simple. But if you do have that need, you can do that and then still kind of meet that security benchmark that we have here. And that's pretty much it. The other couple of things that I do want to call out is, as far as the process is concerned, the strategy that we see that is successful for a lot of our customers when they're implementing BSM is, one, we see customers come here, they initiate all the impact analysis for all the settings. A lot of these settings might have very low usage or almost no usage. So for those settings, we would recommend you to prioritize those settings first, implement the recommendation as quickly as possible. Then next, you want to go into settings that are they do have some usage, and wherever possible, if you need to exclude certain users or apps, you can go ahead and do that and apply the recommendation. So the key is the speed. It's really important to do this as quickly as possible because this is a publicly available information now. So if bad actors didn't know about these vulnerabilities, now they do. So we definitely recommend you to go ahead and implement this as quickly as possible. And then the other thing to remember also is that once you implement the recommendation and save. If you do hear certain kind of feedback or like some impact that you didn't realize that was going to happen, you can always as easily come back and revert it. So there's not like a lot of risk associated to this by doing it. So you can come in and uncheck and save, and everything just goes back to normal, but the setting goes back to at risk. So you can revert these changes. These are not like things that once you implement, that's it. Everyone is going to get impacted forever. If you do identify some impact that was not initially known, or you didn't realize, or something, you can always revert it. So that's another. So we have a lot of customers, especially some of the mid-sized to large customers. They come in and just implement all the recommendations, wait to see who complains, and whoever complains, they add them to the exemption list, or start working with them to kind of move them away from using this kind of more vulnerable functionality. So that's pretty much it. That's a really quick overview of the BSM mode. It's meant to be fairly straightforward, very easy to explain. So my job is much easier to do with the UX here.
You're lucky one.
Yeah.
Well, you answered just one of my questions, like, can we go back very easily? And the answer is yes. Another question I have popping up, now you're focusing on Microsoft 365. Will it also be affecting in the future things in Azure environment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're starting BSM with 5 workloads. So Entra, Exchange, Microsoft apps, Microsoft Office apps, SharePoint, and Teams. So this is, we're calling this internally BSM V1. So we are completely expecting, in fact, we're in the process of working on BSM V2 and V3 even, and we have plans for V4. So this is going to be a continual investment for us. It's not just like this one thing and that's it. So it's going to be a continual kind of guidance and assistance around closing any gaps that Microsoft learns about, and really quickly communicating that to the community at large. So to answer your specific questions, we do have multiple other functionalities coming in. We have a whole pillar coming in around apps and apps governance, right? And that will include also certain agentic things that you can actually start managing here and securing. We are bringing in Azure as well. So Azure is one of the workloads that we are also going to be we're working with very closely to bring in these to understand the vulnerabilities and make sure that transitions cleanly into the experience here. And Purview is another workload that we're working with. And there are there are several others. We have a very busy, next 2 years planned around this whole area. So definitely more things are coming.
I can really imagine, and it's going to fly off. So a lot of functionalities we will see, but definitely worthwhile to ask you back in the later future, I guess.
Absolutely, it'll be a pleasure.
So thank you so much for having us, and thank you, Dave, for sharing a live demo for baseline security mode. We do want to share some resources here for you to learn more about baseline security mode. So first is actually one of our inside track blogs. It's at aka.ms/msd-baseline security mode. This talks about how Microsoft ourselves have used baseline security mode. And then we also have an announcement blog for baseline security mode at aka.ms/Microsoft baseline security mode. And you can always learn more about all the settings, all the features of baseline security mode in our Microsoft Learn documentation at aka.ms/baseline security mode/learn.
And that's an important point that Sophie brought up, is that Microsoft is the first customer of BSM. So we generally we have done, and we're planning to make sure that Microsoft adopts all these recommendations before they surface to customers. So I'm really super excited to announce that Microsoft is all green as far as BSM is concerned at the moment.
Yes. Yeah, amazing. Well, it's always good in sense of eat your own dog food first before explaining it and showing it to customers. Really awesome functionality, which I think is a very beautiful add-on in the already existing ecosystem, where a lot of changes is happening every day. Every time there are a lot of new features. So tools like this will definitely help in lighten the burden for people like us in the security field to have functionality and things to enable to make it more secure. So thank you for that.
Thank you
Absolutely.
very much for having us.
Yeah.
Um, any last thoughts that you want to share before we close up?
No, from my end, security, especially in this AI age, is at the top of mind for Microsoft. Everything that we're building and promoting here as part of BSM and as part of many other tools that we have across the board and products in general, we have security is a fundamental thing that we put in a lot of effort and a lot of thought into before these products surface to customers. So we're super, happy and honored to present these products to our customers and earn customer trust around security and compliance here.
And for you, Sophie, any last thoughts?
Yeah, so I think really like the key messaging here is that you're getting the recommendations from what Microsoft has learned, right, ourselves through this whole process. And so all of the recommendations, like Dave said, is built for Microsoft 365. It is optimized for Microsoft 365. And it's included in your license. So there is no reason for you to not check it out and see how you can make your tenant even more secure.
All right. Well, that's a beautiful sentence to close up. I want to thank you for your time, both for being presented here and also for demoing. And for people at home, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I would say take care until next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.